Welcome to another Beyond All Reason video, everyone. We're going to be checking out a Glitters game. As you can see, we finally got a camera up, so that is good. This game was actually really fantastic. We're going to be looking at some things that you can improve on as a relatively lower OS player. You know, anywhere from like, I would say this would work anywhere from the range of like 28 OS down to 0 OS. This type of build pattern and this type of play style should work pretty well. Anyway, we're going to be playing with Cortex here, and we're going to be doing a mammoth push into the canyon. And I'm just going to be talking through some of my ideas and strategies that I like to implement when playing Beyond All Reason, especially on Glitters. Glitters often has a lot of meta already built up, and I don't often follow it perfectly, which is oftentimes why we have a bit of controversy. If you ever watch my streams, you'll see people yelling at me because I don't follow the meta perfectly. But you can if you want. I just kind of do things a little bit differently. I did want to say, if you guys enjoy videos like this and you want to see more, definitely be sure to subscribe. We're still a relatively small channel, and that will help get our videos out to more Beyond Our Reason players and other people on YouTube who may not even know about the game yet. So definitely be sure to click that subscribe button if you enjoy the content. Also, we have a Discord page if you want to hang out with people who are like-minded and just play Beyond All Reason a lot, and we also dabble with some other games. You can definitely check out the link down in the description below, and then you can also head over to Twitch and catch me live in the early mornings for now. We might be shifting our schedule again in the future, but Twitch is a great place to interact with me and just hang out and have a good time playing some games, so be sure to check that out. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So we just got a basic build here. We got 3 mexes and going with a couple wind turbines right off the bat. Now, there's something that I've noticed after doing a couple 1v1 games in bar fight, and that is that people who are higher level players will often build 2 wind turbines before going into their third mechs, and that just helps them get a little bit more energy buildup so they don't stall even a little bit on the energy. And I find that works pretty well off for me as well, and I've been testing it a little bit and I find it very smooth. So as long as you have decent wind speed, you can definitely look into doing that more frequently, going 2 windmills into your third mechs and then continuing up to 70 energy, which I went a little bit crazy here, up to 80 energy per second, which is fine. Nothing too bad to worry about, just in case we had a little bit of drop here, which was fine. We're going to speed past some of this basic stuff, just going over opportunities of, you know, just getting our build pattern out, getting our mexes in the pattern that we want. That's the first thing you obviously do with your first con, is getting your build pattern set up. And then you're going to have this guy going into windmills. And I also have my commander. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos before, but it's a very common thing that I like to think of for myself, and that is, if I have low energy, try to use my commander to build wind turbines to increase my energy production, and kind of use this as a bar to store. It's kind of like a load bar for me. As the energy bar increases, then I know that I am doing that I have enough build power that I can boost my factory. And as my energy bar dwindles down to 0 energy, then I need to build wind turbines and such to build up that power more, and then I'll start boosting the factory again after I have the energy up, which I did kind of fail over here earlier. That could be some due to Twitch. Maybe we were communicating a little bit on Twitch or whatever, and so I was probably a little bit distracted with chat, so I didn't follow that perfectly as I had probably would have liked to do. Anyway, we got a couple grunts coming out to just catch any early harassment that may be coming, and also protecting our expansion. And we've also got our Resbot eating all the juicy metal. You can see we have several little groups of reclaim. Several groups of reclaim that we have planned for him already, and we're just going to verify that there's no scouting being done pushing onto us at the moment, which is working out pretty well. This this rover got excellent value from Gandalf. He also sniped a mech, so I sent a couple grunts to take care of him. He's almost destroyed, but he's been a pesky boy lately, so we gotta take him out. Thankfully, that was not too difficult. So yeah, we're just boosting, and this is a build that you might get flamed for. If you end up wanting to try to copy it, you could end up getting flamed for it, especially if you're a newer player, just because I don't end up pushing my commander up at all. I just like the build power and the protection that it gives for my base. Say, for instance, that a group of blitzes push down towards my base right here. Having a commander that can walk around and address this with the D-gun is pretty valuable and I think underrated. So if you're confident that you can hold your front line and you don't need that extra power of the D-gun and build power at the front, then having the commander here just to verify your economy doesn't get trashed is a viable strategy. It's something that I don't think a lot of people use to its full potential. So just use that with caution. Obviously, if you're used to pushing your comm forward, still do that. So we've got almost all of our mexes. I'm going to be building a radar tower here just to get vision to see how far up the orange player has pushed. Now, to be fair, I am going up against some really low OS players, so they are struggling, and normally this area would be a lot harder to actually take and a lot harder to hold, and they would be creeping in on me. So it's not always this easy, but you know, in this case it was pretty easy for me. So we're just continuing to crank out units and also trying to save up enough metal that we can buy our T2 from the T2 or the eco player as soon as he is ready to sell that. So yeah, we got 500 metal, which is great, and we get a really easy comm bomb here relatively soon because this guy is a little bit newer to the game. I don't think he realized the amount of damage he was taking, so honestly very lucky. And even if that doesn't happen, this strategy will still work. Like you can still hold and just be careful. Obviously, with that win, we're gonna want to come in and take all of the metal we can and just hold this area. This reclaim fields are extremely important. Commander wrecks are extremely important. And you can see I'm setting my res bots here as quick as possible. It's 1,500 metal, and that's going to definitely fund our economy just to hold this canyon and to also get us a quicker T2. So people end up paying for the T2 construction bots. I'm going to be sending them metal quickly as well, but still keeping up a decent amount of harassment on this player as well. We end up getting a retreat from Alien, who ends up coming to help defend this area as well, just to make sure that I don't push in. My plan, honestly, is not to push in here. I want to go for a T2 power spike and then push in on the enemy. I do get a little bit of aggression and a little bit more attacks here, but it's not my main goal. So we're just continuing to do a decent amount of rocket bots. I have my factory on repeat, so I build mostly rocket bots, some grunts, and a grave robber, and that repeat helps me maintain a good amount of res bots and a good amount of rocket bots as well that are the main core of my forward attack. Our front line here is doing great, so we just double check this side on occasion to make sure they're surviving, and they are doing fantastic. We got an exploiter up here being built just to get some of this juicy metal and make sure that it stays put. And we're gonna retreat our res bots just to make sure they don't get sniped. It's always a pain when you're in the middle of a battle and your res bots get sniped. It's the worst feeling ever because it does take you know, they don't cost a ton, like, right? That's 300 metal, so it's like 110 metal a piece, but it's just a pain to have to rebuild them, you know. They are a pretty core group of your army, so it's a little bit of a balancing act. And we just got our T2, or paid. We just got our T2 paid not that long ago, and we are producing construction bots now. The reason why I like to spam construction bots is it helps me to be able to follow my T2 con after he is produced, and then I will be able to upgrade my mexes really, really fast. That's the key. The key to heavy T2 power spikes is upgrading your mexes rapidly. So they push on us and they just get wrecked. My res bots are set on a repeat command, so they will automatically come up, repair anything in this group, and then they should go back behind. I should have told them to. I don't know if I did or not. If I didn't, that was a mistake. Yeah, so what I should have done here is told them to also do a command where they gather back here in the back after they're done. That way they aren't susceptible to attacks, but I messed that up. So we finally got our T2, and these guys are ready. We have a total of 6 cons getting ready to just boost this guy's production. I stopped my unit production here because I already have plenty of units, and they're not going to push into me. I have a much stronger economy than them, so I'm not really worried about needing to push new units into them at all. I can just hold with the army I have and continue to scale my economy. I will eventually outscale them, and that is something I'm rather confident of. There's a little bit of a push here that happens, so I try to maneuver my guys so I'm not getting hit on too many fronts here. And we just decide on a strategic retreat there as we get our economy rolling. And you can see we're starting to get T2 out relatively soon. This next con bot is going to be going T2. Because we have a decent amount of metal being stored. We have enough stored up to actually pay for the whole entire T2, I believe. Or almost. Pretty close. So it's just a decent timing, because we are going to want to get the energy. Also, another thing keep in mind is I did build energy storage, so energy is generally not an issue for me. I have 14,000 energy stored up, and usually on maps that have a little bit lower wind speed or a lower average wind speed, 14,000 is enough time for your wind speed to pick up again without e-stalling generally. So we're doing very well on that side of things. So this guy's just going to go upgrade all the mexes across the map, and then we're transitioning T2. I'm going to speed up through this time because we end up building a wall here, and we're not planning to do any aggression. Rocket bots generally can shoot over the walls and the block rocket shots as well. So this is a very good strategy if you want to hold a position. So we're just getting our fusion out. This is going to be the first thing that we build. I have a... Let me see, I gotta slow this down. So the first thing we gotta build is energy production, obviously, so that we have sustainability. And then next we're going for the energy conversion, because we were overflowing and had a lot of spare energy across the whole entire team. So I decided, let's get one up first, and then we began to prioritize the fusion reactor. And the fusion reactor generally will be able to supply enough energy to convert for one advanced energy converter. So usually a 1-to-1 ratio on fusion to converter is pretty good, along with all the other things you may produce. Now keep in mind, during this time, they aren't pushing me, they aren't trying to attack. I'm over here available to help. And this is a time where I'd often scan the map. Is anyone else in trouble? Is anyone else struggling? Is there any metal available for me to get across the map? And I end up sending this guy over to try to get the metal that is in this area, because any metal that I can get on the front line and boost myself with is a good idea. So we're just ecoing. We're not building units because we have no need. We are covered on the front. We are not being pushed. We have vision. We know they're not pushing up on us, and there's no high pressure. We're watching our allies to make sure they're okay, and we are continuing to scale, which as we begin to increase in economy here and getting all of our mexes upgraded, we're really going to see a power spike in metal. So now we're at a total of 100, almost 100 metal per second, which is fantastic, and we aren't even maxed out on energy production yet. So generally it's a balancing act between energy production and energy consumption, and we're probably going to start upgrading some BP here now that we're getting a little bit higher metal. We don't want to waste it, so we got to get some of these built up. So let's go ahead and speed past this. Just keeping an eye on the front, making sure that our metal never overflows. The overflowing is the main problem you want to avoid. If you end up overflowing, it can be a lot less effective. And we're going for 1 fusion. After we get that fusion up, we'll be ready to start scaling. I might go for a 2nd fusion depending on how the front line looks and depending on how much pressure I receive. But 1 fusion, I can easily pump out fiends, and I can probably get like a mammoth within a little bit of time. And we also, during this time, are slowly scaling our build power across the map. We have lots of energy production, and now we need to work on energy conversion. And you'll see I move that slider down just so that I don't overflow too much. Now, the good thing here is I'm providing energy across the map, and I actually have a little bit more economy than our eco player actually at this point as well, which is kind of crazy. So we're starting to get energy conversion up. We're still not quite to the point where we're maxed out on energy conversion, which is crazy. So now we're starting to dwindle energy conversion. We're dropping down to 80% about, and we're going to start our mammoth span now. So we have 3 fusions, and that means we'll have plenty of metal coming in. I had plenty of greed opportunity because they didn't push me, and what could I do but take advantage of it, right? Also keeping an eye on our allies, making sure there's no issues. Try to remember to check that. I know sometimes it can be difficult with just the amount of macro you're doing here and the amount of things, you know, transferring build power to different items and such. It can be difficult to keep an eye on the front. Thankfully, I was able to come here and kind of help. They ended up doing a push T2 or T3 here, but they were able to hold it. And it wasn't the end of the world, but it was really quite dangerous. They could have done a lot worse there. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, I want to pause at this point. One thing you have to keep in mind is any pressure that's being pushed causes a lot of the team to divert their resources towards that pressure, right? So, especially on small maps like All That Glitters, you're going to see, if you do push in and get a lot of aggression on one area, especially in T1, the whole team's going to dogpile you. And what does that do? Is that good or is that bad? And it really depends on how much economy you destroy. If you destroy 0 economy and you get collapsed on, like red is getting collapsed on here, red is getting dogpiled, you'll see a lot of units starting to fly over that direction. I know I sent all my units, and it looks like most of the other team doesn't really have any extra units, but Eco is probably going to be starting to cover Canyon as well. So if red loses all these units and doesn't get much eco damage here, that's a significant loss for him, because how many he has 6,000 metal, 7,000 metal in economy here. And that metal, if it doesn't get its value, it becomes a donation. So you have to be very cautious for yourself. Obviously, if you wipe all the canyon and you have that metal deposit, it's usually fine, because you still got like a massive amount of value from it. So we'll keep on going here. I try to remember what exactly happens. I know I was worried about it, but I think they end up holding pretty well. They end up trying to bomb them. Yeah, this guy got off some good D guns, I think, or one good D gun. I'm surprised he's in our ally over here is not pushing, trying to defend his whole economy here. So it looks like our air player might get wiped, honestly. Yeah, he lost all of his economy there. There's one Razorback. Oh, and our eco got wiped. Now, this is the part that you guys are probably waiting for, and that is the fact that we have a mammoth line pushing. Okay, I have scaled, I have tons of metal, and I am able to just completely go nuts. Now, we're in a bad position, right? As a team, we've lost a little bit of economy over here in the canyon, and we lost all of the eco player. Now, this is obviously a time when a lot of people would quit. A lot of people would choose to give up. Like this guy. This guy saw the game was basically done in his mind and he gave up. So I took control of all of his stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. I'll take his stuff. And we have we have a T3 factory with nothing. Now I have some build power, I have a decent amount of eco. I have 21,000 E just in myself. In fact, we have more economy even after the destruction of our eco player, which is crazy. So let's keep going here. Unless it didn't update yet. No, it's still, yeah, we're still above them on eco. And I am focusing eco while also producing tons of mammoths still. So we're doing crazy. Anyway, I end up eventually giving our eco player a single, I think a single fusion or a single aphis. Don't remember which. So yeah, we're just pushing in. We have a decent amount of radar bots here as well. And this actually becomes a little bit hard to take, but because they start spamming lots and lots of Zars, and those Zars do decent damage. But it's enough pressure for it to matter, right? So the team compensates over here. They're still holding. And we just have a line of mammoths coming in. I want to wait for more mammoths to show up. Just so we have a little bit of a better defense here. Because mammoths are better in larger groups. So we got a couple units on the front line here. I should have probably given them to green, but I think I forgot to. Because I'm just not able to micro all of them, and so they end up dying. And did I ever give him anything? I didn't, which is crazy. Smokey 20, I didn't give him anything. That was rude of me. In a situation like that, it would have been better for me to share Smokey some stuff. Anyway, we're slowly pushing in. And they're just dumb firing us with the stupid Zars. It's crazy. And it gets to the point where we can barely push in because the mammoth's bodies start to die too much. Just a constant wave of pressure, though. That's the thing I love about pushing mammoths, is it's just so much pressure. Because it's an unrelenting force. Now, one thing that I would recommend if you want a little bit better, like, actual forward progress, is to do the spam towards the center with mammoths, because you have a lot more ability to maneuver around, whereas this is kind of a very tight position, and it becomes very inefficient because you're clogged in one location, and things like Zars can pump out lots of shots and do massive amounts of damage, and I can't really get to them because of their positioning. But like out here, it's more open, and I can actually shoot at what is a valuable target and get the proper support I needed. So that's something to think about. Probably pushing into the canyon like this is a bad idea, and you should more direct it forward towards the center. And let's go ahead and keep going here. We have tons of eco, though. Still going crazy. In fact, I think I have what... Do I actually have 13,000? I have 13,000 metal? That's insane. That doesn't sound right. Ooh, good D-guns over there on their canyon. Yeah, this just becomes so incredible. Need T3. Yeah, that was the call. And so I do end up changing to T3. I think I end up putting a T3 factory out towards the front here. Yep, that's the spot. 2 T3 factories. Just because I'm trying to get to the point where I can push into that canyon, because they're just able to stop with the amount of pressure they have. Canyon's holding well. And I have decent metal, so I might as well use it. My income is at 600, 500 metal per second. Pretty insane. This does end up being a longer game, just due to the fact that the Tsar spam was really effective. Yeah, Tsar spam was crazy. That many Tsars, just insane. The amount of damage they were doing. And then they started bringing in T3, which actually the mammoths are really, really strong against T3. So they wrecked the T3. Boom. Very good damage. And we're still holding on all sides here. And Red is bringing in troops as well because he sees how many units I have and he's pretty nervous about it, which puts a little less pressure on the front line here, which is good. And we are thankfully scaling across the map as well, which is excellent. So we got our first T3 unit out. And these guys don't do quite as good as I would have liked. Couple Karganeth. Because they end up just getting completely zapped as well, which is pretty sad. So we're spamming Karganeth and Razorback. Karganeth for the walls and Razorback for the canyons. Just so much damage there. Incredible. I believe, oh yeah, I built a paralyzer, which that helped a lot. Having a paralyzer was a good idea. They shut down a bombing run there. Oh man, there we go. That was the paralyzer shot I was looking for. And that, I didn't capitalize on it quite as much as I would have liked. It would have been good to kill most of those Tsars, but we didn't quite have the ability to move in quick enough. So it was just so much clogging here. Like the bodies were just getting ridiculous. We ended up getting a kill on the commander, I believe. Boom, commander down, which is good. So yeah, this is why it would be much stronger to push outside of the canyon, because this little area makes it very difficult to push in. We finally get a T3, a proper T3 out, because I determined the Razorbacks, it was too late in the game for the Razorbacks, so we just went for a Thor, which is always a good option. And backed with some mammoths was excellent. Continuing to see red units pop up on this side as well to help support, which is good because that just relieves pressure. I believe I end up shutting off my mammoth spam eventually this game. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, the crazy thing is all you have to do is just keep scaling your economy as you go and you'll be fine, because regardless, just scaling is almost always a good option, especially when it comes to like later game. If you have your first fusion, just slowly move into the next one and the next one. I find the best way to do that is to select a certain, like especially early on, select a certain amount of construction turrets that you want to end up using to only produce units, and just have those build units the whole time, while the rest of your build power goes into your fusion reactors, into your energy converters. But you can see how the economy can get really massive in this game, and you can create a giant pile of units that are largely effective. Yeah, obviously it's this clogging is not effective by any stretch, so it's kind of a, you know, obviously a sad part, but you can see the power of the economy you can get. They started trying to res their commander body, so I killed it there, which is pro strat. If you don't want a commander to come up again, kill the commander. And then I decided, I think, yeah, here it is, the Behemoth. That's going to be the one thing that I can break through the canyon with, which I probably should have started with that after discovering how powerful the Zars were against the canyon in this area. So I just end up going for the Behemoth, because the Behemoth can just roll past everything. It's like a D-gun, essentially. And so it becomes pretty unstoppable. We do have some issues over here. But thankfully, I think we have plenty of pulsars able to knock these guys down. I didn't even notice that happening because I was so focused on trying to fix my problems. Yeah, this canyon was dealing with some definite difficulties there. Okay, let's go ahead and try to speed this up a bit. We're just waiting for that Behemoth. Here we go. This is gonna be the one that ends the game right here. There we go. Good stun. That was a stun that I was actually happy with right there. And we're doing decent damage. Just moving all of our troops across, waiting for that Behemoth to push up. And we got Karganus sneaking in on the backside, which was kind of pitiful, honestly. I was hoping it would do a little bit more damage than that. But this Behemoth is just insane. Able to take so much damage, and being backed up by a Thor and a bunch of mammoths is just super strong. Just able to push in, receiving so much damage, but still absolutely crushing the enemy. And just being able to break through into this area is really what I was looking for in the first place. A massive bombing run here. It's crazy. I didn't even notice that they did the bombing. So purple is starting to leak through on this side, which is a bad deal, but they're holding still. Yeah, bombers did a great job here getting some damage off. Our Behemoth goes down, but not after doing massive damage and us pushing through. I believe the enemies are going to end up calling it game here relatively soon. Oh my goodness, look at all these guys. Just coming in for the slaughter. We got a Thor coming in on the economy here. Oh, doesn't quite make it. And another Behemoth is on its way. One thing interesting about the Behemoth is the fact that it has 20,000 metal in comparison to the Juggernaut, which is 29,000 metal. So if you want something that's kind of slow, that can get degunned easily, but is really, really hefty, which is perfect for the canyon if you know both commanders are dead, go for the Behemoth on glitters 100% of the time. Because that can sometimes be the push you need to break through. So we're just still kind of holding our own, slowly pushing our troops in. We got a really good economy here. And so, yeah, I mean, I end up needing to scale my energy conversion because we maxed out. We're at 1,000 metal per second, which is just insane, an insane amount of metal per second. And that's just from our economy. And we end up having a Ragnarok being built over here, which I think I end up getting vision of that relatively soon. Yeah, this is a longer game, guys. It's crazy. So we end up wiping Canyon here. Smack, smack, smack. Canyon's basically done for. Boom. Economy's dead. Tier 3 is dead. And we got a commander over here. I think we end up getting the kill on him eventually. Not quite. No, I think it might be next round. He wanders off, but we'll get back to him later. So we end up pushing in on this side. I think we end up getting stopped. The entire team is just coming over towards us, doing massive amounts of attack towards us as we're just spamming millions and millions of mammoths across the map and Thors across the way. And that's where we see we have a Ragnarok, which is not a good deal. And this thing ends up shooting for a while, I believe. If I remember correctly, we don't end up getting a win here for a minute. It would have been a smart idea to grab my Thor and try to stun them. But I'm just so focused on producing units, I'm not really busy on micro at all. Anyway, I see the Ragnarok eventually, and I believe I start building some plasma shields. I think I do. Anyway, we're still going absolutely nuts with our mammoth production here. Come on, kill that commander, boys. Nope, no kill. They don't end up shooting where they should with this thing. This thing has a range, and they don't really go for maximum range on it. So we end up storing up enough mammoths and pushing in, getting a bit more overwhelming damage in on these guys here. Mammoths blasting the commander to pieces. Mix of Thors and mammoths. Beautiful mix. And this is what gives our team the courage to come out from their sleeping tunnels. Still being held back. Still not quite having the pressure we need. Which is ridiculous. So we end up consolidating a bit so we can hold the push off. And this is where I get a little bit concerned here, because now we have all this metal here on the front and they have control of it. Where's Resbots? I guess their Resbots are dead. But they still have control of the metal, and it's so many T3 here that they are able to hold it very easily. The Ragnarok still firing away. Thankfully, we have some aggression coming out from the Canyon side, which is good to see. I'm really surprised we don't see more Resbots being produced from the red team. It looks like one sneaky unit got in there and caused an explosion. So yeah, ending the game can be tough, but generally what I would recommend to end a game, especially since it's been going on so long, right? I mean, we know red's starting to dwindle and most of their economy got destroyed. I mean, all the Canyon's gone and most of their middle economy is gone now. But ending games, a lot of times when it gets to like late game glitters, even with a Ragnarok up, we still are not ending this game. We got plasma shields across the front line and they're holding. So a good strategy would be to do pooling of T3, and generally if you can coordinate with your teammates, it would be better so that they're all working together towards the same goal. Pulling T3 units and then pushing together into the enemy is better. And I didn't really do that very well. But to be fair, that's partially because my team did not have a very strong T3 economy at all. I mean, they produced a handful, right? We see some T3 units here on the front, but it's nothing like the production that we would expect to see late game. And it's just because they're newer players and not quite as confident, I think, with expanding the economy. So, or maybe just not having quite as big of a thought when, or as big of a motivation to expand. That could also be part of it as well. But yeah, if you push all of your units together and then do one massive push, you should be able to break through front lines and end the game a little bit faster. And I don't think I showcased that properly here. So just keep that in mind for your games. If you hit a stall and you feel like you've been stalling for a long time, just pull everything back, hold a line, build up, and then push in, and you'll probably be able to break it. But Mammoth March running. Let's go ahead and speed this up as they are rather slow. So many units coming out. Oh yeah, I end up pushing in with some Kerganath as well, because I want to try to shut this down. And it's just concerning to have it up, right? If it ends up pointing towards your factories, you're not going to be too happy about it. So I push some Kerganath up to try to shut this down, and I do a little bit of damage on it on occasion, and it's just kind of a slow process on that side of things. I did want to mention that as well, because that can be a good idea to try to shut down the Ragnarok if you see it pounding away. And to be fair, I was a bit low. I was a bit slow on my plasma shields here. It would have been much better to get them almost as soon as I saw the Ragnarok like being built. It would have been better to get them, and I kind of failed to do that because my whole economy could have been destroyed very easily just by a couple stray shots. So much metal here, so I end up going for some of this reclaim, which was good. I ended up stopping my spam production just to go for reclaim. There's just so much metal here, and I end up getting control out of most of it, so it was a good opportunity to go for that. Still going. Still pressuring us. And I was having issues with air, so I started to spam anti-air bots instead. And that kind of helped with that. Sometimes spam, I mean, you can just spam anything. A lot of times spam is just for taking the hits. So anything that takes the hits is a good thing to use. There goes one of my Thors putting in some work. Getting a little bit of res economy destroyed. Red coming in here with massive amounts of res bots. Just eating away. Ooh, and we got our Ragnarok up as well now. Doing some good hits on economy here. And that's going to be the end for red. Just due to the massive amount of Ragnarok shells he's taking. He's not going to be able to sustain. So yeah, we put enough pressure on. We provided our team with enough metal that they were able to, you know, sustain enough energy. We're way overflowing on the energy, so I decided to build another energy conversion section. You can just kind of, you know, that's where it gets to infinite scale, right? So if you feel like you have too much, go for it. Go for the infinite scale. Anyway, they're breaking through. Their economies are starting to fall. The Ragnarok is definitely depressing them. Let's see. There we go. One economy down. That was a push by green. Well done. And a little bit of bombing run that didn't end up working here. Yeah, it was such a back and forth throughout this whole entire game. Red just trying to hold, but he didn't have the resources to really hold well, so I think something happened. Oh yeah, that's what happened. I ran out of mammoths, so I stopped producing quite as much as I would have liked, and then this build power wasn't quite fully up. So that's why you see so many of these guys and nothing else, because I ran out of mammoths. Anyway, the game's over. We end up pushing in, and it is kind of a collective win on that point. More than anything, all I did personally was sustain the team and keep so much pressure up that the enemy couldn't make a move, and that was the biggest thing that I did. I definitely made some mistakes. Like I was saying, I should have pooled my resources a lot more than I did, and that would have helped me win a lot sooner, and just kind of hold my units and then do a push, and probably build up some res bots behind them to suck up the metal as well. That would have been a great opportunity. So it wasn't a perfect game, but it's a good example of a way to just scale and kind of hold your front line at a certain point and scale and get to the point where you can overwhelm your enemy with just sheer force. So that's definitely an option. Don't forget about it, and I will see you guys on the next video.